Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, man. We're gonna talk about the top 3 baits in the month of May. And these are kind of outside the box baits, you know, things that you might not have thought of. We're kind of trying to broaden your horizons a little bit, give you something else different to think about that you might not have tied on in the month of May. Top 3 baits, Project E. You guys stay tuned. All right, so, you know, let's talk about May. You know, there's a lot of things happening. You know, I live in Oklahoma. I fish, you know, all over the country. But, you know, in May, there's still fish spawning. There's a bluegill spawn. There's a shad spawn. There's a herring spawn. You know, you get down south, fish are already moving out offshore. You're up north and you may have fish that haven't even moved up yet. So it just depends on where you live. And I always try to say this in my videos because, you know, if you are one of those people that are northern Michigan, you know, you got to watch maybe last month's video for April, you know, for your May. You know, just kind of use those videos, watch both sides of it. You know, the April video, the May video, the June video, when we put these things out. So you kind of know what to do for those water temperatures. So when I think of May and I think of water temperatures, you know, they're in the 70s. You know, maybe the beginning of May you'll be in the upper 60s, but we're going to hit 70 in May in most parts of the country. You know, mid to south, heck, in southern Texas or Florida, you know, I think that water's probably going to be in the 80s. You know, maybe even higher, just depending on how hot it is. But you know, the main things that I can say that are happening in May with vast majority, there's always a shad spawn in the month of May, like everywhere. Like I'm thinking of North Carolina, I'm thinking of Oklahoma, I'm thinking of Texas, I'm thinking of Alabama, I'm thinking of Florida. There's a shad spawn going on, and that happens when that water temperature is 70 degrees, 68 to 72. That's gonna happen in May. You know, I've caught shad spawning all the way in June. You know, there's a herring spawn. That's gonna happen throughout May. There's a bluegill spawn. That's gonna happen. The bass are still gonna be spawning. You know, May's just a cool month. All the fish have moved up. All the fish, you know, have come out of their winter deep spring haunts. You know, there's a lot of fish on the bank. There's a lot of things happening. You know, they start eating frogs by then. They're eating bluegills, shad, herring. There's just so many different things that come into play. So, you know, the tackle box is wide open, I guess. So we could say that. But I'm going to try to narrow it down to 3 things. And if I was to pick one, like the #1 bait for the month of May, it would have to be this one right here, a general, just a weightless worm. And why? Because, you know, a lot of fish are guarding fry. A lot of fish are eating bluegills in and around the bluegill spawn. A lot of fish have been picked on by all us bass fishermen for March and April, and they want something a little slower, a little more subtle, a little more finesse. And the general, a weightless worm, green pumpkin, it just catches them. It truly, truly catches them. You can rig it wacky style. You can rig it Texas style. You can skip it back up underneath docks, around laydowns, just multiple places. It's very, very versatile. You know, when those fish are spawning, like let's talk about bass spawning. You know, it's a bait you can throw out in front of you. They'll hit that. You don't have to visually, you know, sight fish with that bait. You know, it just represents like a bluegill or crawdad falling down in the bed. You know, in and around when bass are feeding on bluegill, in and around the bluegill spawn, it represents a bluegill really well, wacky rigged around bluegill beds. It's just a great bait in the month of May. I like the 5-inch green pumpkin. I mean, all 3 packages that we're going to give away this month are all green pumpkin. That's just, if you're going to throw one, throw green pumpkin. I don't worry too much about the color. I just don't think it matters. I think it's about putting the bait in the right place. You're going to get the bite. So I got 3 packages of green pumpkin, and that's what we do every month on this channel. We give them away. At the end of this video today, we're going to pick 3 winners from last month and send those baits off to you guys. So all you got to do is just leave a comment, be a subscriber. We just go down through there randomly. We pick 3 winners. We mail them off. We put them all in a plain old box. This month we're going to do the Pro Latch Stowaway 3700. Kind of a cool box. It's got different sizes in it. You can adjust it. We'll put the baits in there. We'll mail them to you guys. I got tons of spam going on. I wish that wasn't part of our world, but it is. So You only win something if I mention your name in one of my videos. I'll never contact you, I'll never email you, I'll never comment anything saying you've won. If I verbally, out of my mouth, say you win, that's how you win, guys. So just keep that in mind. I apologize for the spam that's going on around that. Okay, so how are you going to rig this thing? I've got some 4/0 hooks I'm going to send with it. Let me find them right here. And I did not do I did the offset EWG, not the super line. This one's a super line. That's a heavier wire than this one. That's a 5/0, there's a 4/0. But I wanted the lighter wire. A lot of times I throw a weightless worm on lighter line. Even if I'm Texas rigging it weightless, I'm going to throw it on 14-pound test so it falls real natural. It's got a really good shake to it. The other way that I'm gonna rig that sometimes is on like a little weighted wacky jig head. You know, you can just put that right there in the middle of it. You can throw that on like the back side of a dock. You know, if I'm going to try to get it down to 6, 7, 8 feet, I'll use that one with a 16th ounce weight. And then obviously just straight wacky rigging. You know, that's another thing that you can do if it's really open water, really clear water. I do that a lot of times on a spinning rod with just like a little, you know, 1/0, you know, wacky rig hook. I didn't have any of those out. I'm kind of out of those, or I would have sent some of those along with you. But that's the way I rig it. Just Texas rig it, weightless. It's just a great bait in the month of May to fish. It just is. I don't know what else to say. It's a really good bait. Okay, the next bait. Let's talk about covering a little water. I like a swimming worm. I really like this new Berkley Speed Boss. This is the 5.75 version. This color right here, Skeets Green Money. It's just a really cool iridescent, you know, purplish on the belly, green pumpkin, black, green, purple flake on the back. I think a lot of times these represent bluegill. You know, when you rig these things, I'm going to rig it with the light belly on the bottom. Again, I'll rig it on that 4/0 hook. You guys will have some hooks with you. Just Texas rig, lightweight. A big thing here, guys, is don't get too big a weight. You know, the biggest weight I'll ever use is like a 3/16. I use an 1/8 a lot. I'll rig it with 14-pound test. About just like that right there. And that's gonna just come through the water kicking. It's really subtle. Just wind it. Just, man, I don't care if it's grass or if it's rocks. I catch a lot of fish on Grand Lake on that bait right there in the month of May. It's just those fish have gotten so accustomed to loud spinner baits and vibrating jigs and crankbaits coming through the water. This is very subtle, just winding it through the water. It's like a bluegill. They eat it. I'm telling you, that's a bait. A swimming worm is a bait they eat in May. They eat it back in April too. It's just a really, really good bait. I've got 3 different packages here. I've got a 675, a bigger one, you know. This is Swamp Gas. That's the color. It's another really good bluegill color. Watermelon Red is another really good color, 5.75. Those are the 2 sizes I use. They make a smaller size. Well, heck, they make quite a few smaller sizes, but I like basically the 6-inch and the 7-inch. Those are the 2 sizes I use. I'm fixing to go to Guntersville, and I'm going to have this bait tied on. It's just going to be a bait that's going to be a great bait down there at Guntersville, and I'll catch fish on it. It works really well in and around the grass. It works well around, you know, the spawn and the post spawn and the bluegill spawn. It's just a bait that I have a lot of confidence in. I can cover water just like you would a spinner bait, but I'm reeling a worm in. When I go, I'll have it tied on 14-pound test, you know, 8 or a 3/16 weight. You know, don't get too big. Just 6/8 to 1 gear ratio reel. I use a spinnerbait rod like a 7 to 1 or 7-foot 1-inch spinnerbait rod or a 7-foot 4-inch medium heavy type rod, just a worm rod. Just wind it real slow, you know, kind of keep it down in the water column. They will flat bite it. It's a really, really cool bait. Okay, so the last bait, man, it's a new bait, really. Kind of, well, it's new last year, but it has been putting a ton of fish in the boat for me this spring. And I just want to tell you about it. It's going to be a great bait in the month of May. Also, there's a lot of different ways you can rig it, but it's the Berkley Gilly. It's just a cool bait, guys. I don't know what else to say about it. There's a lot of different ways you can rig this thing. You know, one way you can rig it is just through the side and swim it, and that's what I suggest for the month of May. You know, if you're just fishing, just trying to cover water, there's some lines right here on the side of this bait. When you go to rig it, you want to follow that bottom line. It takes that hook and it puts it at the perfect angle to where this will anatomically swim through the water perfectly, and that's just basically how you rig it right there. It's just on the side but that yet will swim through the water just perfectly like that. It's got a great hookup percentage. You can just kind of wind it out there just the same way you can that worm, only you're throwing a bluegill size bait. Now this is the 110. The 130 is this size right here. You'll see I've got it rigged on a Tokyo rig. I think that's what that's called. And this, to me, is just, man, it's a bed fishing deal. I've got a big 5 or 6/0 hook rigged right up through the nose. I've got a little 1/2 ounce weight, and I just tie it on right here. I mean, I catch a lot of bedding fish. You guys will see some fish on the channel that I've caught on this that are really big. I had a 7-pound, how big was that fish? Caught like a really big one at Lake Murray on that, well, actually this exact one. I just cut that off my boat. It's been laying here in my shop, and I just picked it up to talk about. But that's how I caught them. You know, another one that we got here is the 90 size. I've got some right here. It's got 4 of them in it, and the way I rig it is the same way. You know, I'm just going to put it on a little Tokyo rig, but a smaller one. You know, just a 4/0 hook coming out the top of it. You can nose hook it on a drop shot. You can Carolina rig that bait. It's just a morsel of a bite, and you can just see how limber that thing is coming through the water. It's just, you can put it on a jig head. It works really, really, really well on a jig head. But that's the Berkley Gilly. I kind of a little hesitant talking about it because it's just such a deadly, deadly bait in and around April and May and June. It's just a really, really good bait, guys. It looks right. It swims right. Everything about it's just perfect coming through the water. But that's the Berkley Gilly. A couple colors to keep in mind. This is the HD Bluegill. One of you guys will be getting this one. I've got the HD Pumpkin Seed. That's this one right here. It's got a little bit orange belly. And then the HD Sunfish. You know, there's a lot of other colors. There's a warmouth color. There's a black and blue color. They're all really good. These are by far 3 of my favorites. You know, the 90, the 110, the 130. I like all 3 sizes. All 3 have applications that I use. You know, the big 130, you can rig it also the same way and skip it really good up underneath docks. It's a great thing to do in and around docks. But a lot of different ways to rig this bait. But it is a bait that those fish really hadn't seen, and you can catch a lot of fish with it. I'm going to have this one right here in this package. One of you guys are going to win it. Now, as far as rod and reels, you know, like when I have it rigged this way, this is like a sight fishing deal. I'm going to have it on 20, 25-pound test, a big 7.6, 7.10 flipping rod. You know, when I'm throwing this one and I'm swimming it back in, I've got that on 17 or 20-pound test and a pretty heavy rod, like a 7.3 for me. It's my Carbon Light 7.3 heavy, a 6/8-to-1 gear ratio reel. You know, when I go to throw the 90 and it's a nose hook, I might even have this on a spinning rod or a lighter weight Texas rig type rod, you know, 14-pound test. You know, to me, this is more of a finesse deal when I'm using it. It's such a small, lighter bait. But, you know, big line, you know, medium kind of line, medium rod, then lighter line when you go down in size. But really versatile bait, a great bait in May, you know, around docks, around those bluegill spawns, around sight fish. You know, those bluegill really raid bass's beds. You know, it doesn't take long for a bass to bite one of these gillies. So, hey, with that said, guys, I'm giving all these baits away. Just leave me a comment, thumbs up, something random, and I just go through there randomly. So let's pick out last month's winner. You notice I've got a kind of a sinus congestion deal. The allergies are horrible right now here in Oklahoma, and I am all stopped up. I just went through here randomly, and I picked 3 different winners from last month's video, and all you guys got to do, these are the only 3 winners. If I mention your name, you are a winner. Go to my website. Send me an email. You don't need to send me no money, none of that stuff. I take care of all the shipping. I'm going to put them in the tackle boxes. It'll be the baits from last month. We'll get them out to you. I've got DJ Outdoors 50. Thank you, Mr. Evers, for the awesome bait video. Your tips have been helping me win my tournaments as of late. I appreciate you, good sir. Well, congratulations on winning your tournaments, buddy. Thanks for leaving that comment. I am going to mail you April's baits. All right, I got Andrew Thaler 7323. Thanks for the great advice. Left a great comment right here. Super simple. Wished me good luck on Lake Murray. Andrew, thanks for leaving the comment, buddy. I am going to mail you April's baits. And then the last random winner I've got right here is Philip Metz 514 here in Springfield, with the weather up and down, those baits are money, and got a chance to talk to you at Bass Pro. Thanks for the kind comments, Philip. I am going to mail you some baits from April and a tackle box. I appreciate all you guys being followers of the channel. Appreciate the comments. That's all you guys got to do on this video. Just leave me a comment and hit that like button. Be sure you're a subscriber. And I'm going to package these up, a set of hooks, a bait, a worm, and we'll mail them out to you guys when we do the June video. I'll randomly pick a winner. So, hey guys, good luck in your fishing. It's a great time of the year to be out and about. Take a kid fishing. That's super important. You know, I can't stress that enough. Just get those kids out there fishing. Get them off those Xboxes. It's okay to be on it a little bit, but just not when it's nice and sunny or cloudy or whatever it is when those fish are biting. Get some of those kids out there, take them fishing. You'll be glad you did. So you guys have a great day.